Hi everybody and welcome to December Crafty Crows. It's lovely to see you here, so many of you here. We've got the Trawler 2022 tonight, all the Trawler poets reading their poems from the anthology. We've also got the fabulous Raine Geoghegan. I knew I wasn't going to be able to pronounce this. Geoghegan, is that right?
Geoghegan.
No,
it's Geoghegan, but it doesn't matter.
Geoghegan.
Wow. I get all sorts of versions.
Okay, so we've got the famous Raine Geoghegan to read tonight, and of course myself later, and then several more of our Trawler poets. It's going to be a little awkward tonight. I would like you to be really flexible. That is to keep yourself muted while people are reading, but to unmute to applaud and then mute back again. If you can sort of get into that habit, that would be brilliant, because I think for certainly people who've not read before, it's nice to hear the applause when they've read their poem. Okay, and I don't think we've got any problems with new material tonight because it's all been published, so that's good. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the poem that I put in the Trawler, and I put it in because when Peter was doing the Trawler, just before we finished trawling, I was looking at the word anthology, and it comes from the Greek, anthos meaning flower or blossom, and legion meaning to gather or collect. So I thought that was rather beautiful, and so this is the poem I wrote about anthology. All this year we trod the paths of words, scrolled the posts of poems, collected voices, ideas, passions that shone out of our screens. We heard your voices, fragile and delicate, fresh as early cherry, were attracted to your ideas like butterflies to buddleia. We followed the scent of passion, rose and jasmine, though pricked by thorn or tangled by stem, we were happy to be caught. Wild poems flowered like thistle and buttercup, as prickly and as obstinate, yet we dug them up. We twisted all these blooms into this garland, and now at the close of the year, we shine a bright torch on those we are about to hear. Thank you. Okay, so without any more ado, I'm going to call upon Lucia.
No, it's me.
Pardon?
It's me.
It's you.
Yeah, look on your sheet.
It's in a different colour. It's in black. I thought
it's
that
because I'm reading it instead of her.
Fair enough. Okay. This is Peter. Peter Lay reading Rampage by Nupur Chakrabarti.
Yeah, Nupur couldn't make it tonight. She's based in India and her mother is ill. So she asked if I would read her poem. And this poem is called Rampage. It portrays the tumult of the present time as the transcendental happenings blend with it. Nandi, the bull of Shiva, seems angry, storming over the world. That's the sort of explanation that goes with it. So here it goes. In the middle of the storm, alone on the road, life seems barren and none appears for the waiting eyes. True to life and yet the surface loud, the scene riotous now, breakers on rampage. The water, earth and wind creating a sudden fire of the thunders. What bellows pierce through the gauze of the showers? An angry Nandi runs rampant. A dance in the folds of time transpiring. Brilliant feet of light caper over the upsurge from the zenith watching, a froth of darkness whirring in the abysmal gorge. Thank you. Okay. Back to you, Josephine.
Unmuted. I beg your pardon. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Napur Chakrabarti. Sorry, Lucia, for sort of starting and stopping you. So next up we have Lucia Daramus.
Thank you. My poem, So Much Autumn, by Lucia Daramus. So much autumn is inside us. Let me go to open the windows of the words for birds and spring. If you forget me, the branches of the tree will whisper a song about my life. Yes, my poems are written in the roots of a tree. And you and your lover, having a walk into the life's forest, will listen to my poem songs. But now I am in room number 6, with nurses in blue uniforms around carrying injection for people, with flapping imagination in their minds. A door is noisy. A key of the carers is breaking the privacy. And click, click, the carer is inside, checking if your minds are still in the present. And doctors that try to understand our words, imaginary words, in delusion stories and behave. They push us to reality, but we as children stuck forever in a concocted narrative in which us fly in imaginative lives and feel and smell an ordinary coffee from the world. Some of us have so much autumn inside crown. But be happy, be happy. Autumn is mean colors, and we pick up these powerful colors, autumn colors, and draw with them and our minds the sky. I will ask my doctors what kind of colors prefer, because I will preserve for them a very beautiful painted room in the sky. All of us are birds who will fly. Just a small feast of soil will remain from us. Someday a cohort of people will say goodbye to us, and some of the earth of us will lay down, maybe under a secular tree, with colored leaves in its crown, because so much autumn is inside us. Let me fly in life and in death to sing my vibrant poems around trees and clouds and stars. The wind will carry out on its wings my poems forever in the future, a future like an orange sun. Its rays will come up and come down with my poetry lines, because the voices said me, we feel that so much autumn is inside us. Autumn inside us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. That was absolutely beautiful. Lovely poem. Please unmute and give a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
I think the next person is Kelly Owen, but I don't think she's here, is she? Jason?
No.
No. Okay. So we'll go straight on to John Collins. Welcome, John. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Are you going to read your poem from the Trawler?
Yep. So I'm going to read The Doorway in My Mind is a Metaphor, and it's both a poem and it's kind of how my brain works. So so bear with that. Okay. The doorway in my mind is a metaphor. The long street that winds and vanishes into the mist, a question still unanswered from childhood or maybe before, inherent to my nature. The staircase that leads into the unknown, to spaces as yet unshown, but more than that, pathways in between, connections unattainable, stone balconies above leading from and to, their sources accessible only to the acolytes of some unfathomable religion. As much architectural as tangible, like in a vast cathedral, but that too is metaphorical. The covered steps leading down into unbegotten recesses of my consciousness, missing links, ladders, and snaking passageways, as yet unmapped, their purpose untapped, fragile ceilings, in places collapsed. And all this to say, perhaps there is a way from here to wherever, but equally, maybe, its very inaccessibility was the point of the similarity. That ancient corridor, forever under lock and key, never to be reached, at least not by me.
Thank you, John. That was brilliant and a really interesting insight into your mind and how your mind and your poetry work together. That was brilliant. Please, a big round of applause for John Collins.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Next up, we have Pratibha. Pratibha Castle.
Yes, hi. Hi. I'm going to read a couple of short poems that have been published recently. The first one appeared in the London Grib just last week. It's called Lemons. Our tears gilded with sunlight. Adults' fake smiles. Face pucker odium a child might feel on witnessing its parents' kiss. What I mean to say is not just kiss, caress, converse in rabbit's fur conciliation with each other. Strict as stalactites, tart as walnuts, pickled in brine. Figures encased in icy silence at the outer limits of a globe they gave me for my 7th birthday on an outing to Lee-on-Sea. A plastic micro-world with snow, an igloo, Eskimos, a husky dog-drawn sled I kept beside the bed, tipped upside down each night in hopes this might dissolve their Arctic freeze, and should the figures come unstuck, tumble on their plastic heads, that this might shock my parents back to laughing, crying, so their frostbite silence no more seared my ears, and lemons might be squeezed, sanctified with honey brandy, shaken, stirred as lemon shandy. And the second one, thank you. The second one appeared in the recent Drawn to the Light. It's an Irish press, lovely magazine. Knickers. By the river Liffey, she stepped out of satin knickers, sighing like peachy petals around her ankles. Elastic, growing lax, having let her down. Second sibling out of 10 and wise to the workings of a secret, she chuckled, and stifling the memory of a nun's echoing scold, stuffed them, her touch ambiguous as roses, into a cardigan pocket, together with a ladybird brushed unseen of her Mary Janes. Dismissive of the unmaking inherent in a ladybird hex, she strode forth with a flounce of chestnut hair, flushed cheeks, on the arm of the young man who would be my father, across grudging grass into a future fragrant, green as a whispering willow's promises divined from the morning's dregs. That girl's laugh, her shadowy tales persist, coast with a hawk on silent currents, sustenance for a skylark's silvery beck, eulogies of a universe where love is endless song and no sour notes.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Fatima. That's very
Lovely.
good.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Good.
Thank you.
Josephine, can I just come in a sec? It's likely that we're going to have a few gaps, so we will have the opportunity to do a few. We've already had a couple of open mics that we had because we had a couple of gaps, but we may have more. So if anybody wants to do an open mic slot of about 3 minutes that isn't, you know, please message me in the chat. I've already had Leslie Spencer, thank you. We'll add you to the list. You got that?
Yes, I also think that it might be nice to bring Sally Aston forward.
Yeah.
Then if she's feeling poorly, is that all right, Sally? So I'll bring you
thanks.
forward.
That would be useful, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you will be able to read even if you have to go. That would be brilliant. Okay, yes, so we'll carry on then. Next up, Catherine Grace Hislop.
Hey, oh, hang on.
Welcome. I wasn't
Am
sure
I
if
on?
you were the right Catherine.
I'm not on mute. You can hear me, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, right. Thank you. Oh, I just find it. Sorry, just a second. I didn't see the order of it. But...
No, we normally put the order on the chat.
Yeah, it's fine. So, called Playing. Play away. That's what they used to say. All day, any way. Music with creativity sandwiched together, as they had been really since forever. But be still now and sedate. Clip, clop, boom, bam, softly marching 4/4 time. Our musical creations, boom, get in line. Limited by public regulations, we thought they'd never know. So we crouched inside that inner sanctum. Our tender years gave rise to courage, which snapped. After smiles were shared and her viola case fell open, allowing a handgun to fall into that open palm. Pain filled my very being, beyond any words, and a stench of iron blasting through as I sloshed about, rasping inanely inside some warm stickiness. I was left, still, thinking about 4/4 time, while my mouth dried out.
Thank you, Catherine. Gosh, that became quite chilling from the beginning. That seemed almost like a child's poem and then turned into something quite sinister. Thank you very much. A big hand for Catherine Grace Hislop. Now, unfortunately, our next poet, Marilyn Timms, isn't well enough to come, but Howard's here to read her poem for us. So welcome, Howard.
Thank you. And apologies from Marilyn. She's sad to miss tonight, of course. It's 2 poems, actually. The first being a haiku. Words that cannot be unsaid. Doors slammed, car leaving, pillow full of tears. And second one, somewhat different and possibly better with a man's voice anyway. Caffeine rush. We bumped into each other outside Costa. I apologized for my clumsiness, took her inside for an impromptu cappuccino. Milk froth, white as sea spray, beaded her upper lip. I'm a mermaid, she said, and I believed her. Why not? Waist-length hair moving with an inner life like a seagrass forest. Eyes luminous as the moon's trail across an ocean. her voice sibilant as tides at midnight, a soft, fishy iridescence to her skin. I was totally, painfully in love. The mermaid left as suddenly as she had appeared. I watched the sway of her hips as she moved lithely between tables, thought of a retreating tide oozing round rocky outcrops on a beach I knew. Sea blue, shot silk skirt clung possessively to taut, muscular thighs, halted above shapely calves that led my eye down to slender ankles and long, narrow feet. A siren shriek from the coffee machine introduced me to reality. What mermaid has legs? Where was her tail? The fumes of first love dissipated as rapidly as the steam that writhed around the barista and his infernal machine. I felt confused, humiliated, grief-stricken, cheated. My adored one was a liar. No mermaid she. It was patently obvious that she was a selkie. Now, just in case anyone doesn't know, a selkie is a mythical creature that resembles a seal in the water, but assumes human form on land. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Howard. That was brilliant. And Marilyn, what a wonderful. Peter's just gone out the room and, oh, dearie me.
Not looking for a mermaid, I expect.
Mermaid. Peter's just gone out the room and turned the light out on this. Apologies for that. Please unmute and give a big round of applause for Marilyn's poem and Howard's reading of it. That was beautiful. Thank you. Next up, we have Elvis Gregory Sace. Elvis, are you there? Oh, Elvis? Okay, well, he doesn't seem to be there.
He was here a minute ago.
Yeah, he is there. He's just trying to unmute himself, I think.
Okay, Elvis,
Yeah,
yeah, if you'd like to read your poem, that would be brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. All prepared, and when I'm on screen, I'm not. I'd just like to say a little bit about the poem. I woke up about 5:31 Sunday morning, had an idea, wrote it down in about a minute, then went back to sleep. So sort of got the flavour of it. I go by the name of my free verse. Insomnia. I'm awake. Are you on social media? My mind bends in weaves, open all night. Shackled by mind of will. Well, not sleeping. No sleep tonight. Up watching Facebook posts, in common tweets, TikTok videos. Everyone's a celebrity these days. Green tea might get me off to Noddyland. Used to when I was a young lad, about 2, tucked up in bed with big ears. Can't say that, big ears now. Days, it's all gone Pete Tong. That's rhyming slang for it's a bit wrong. Wrong, I can't sleep. Tonight, it's now, 3 AM, an owl hoots. That's strange. Am I hallucinating? Must have been these mushrooms I picked in the forest earlier today. I'm late for work. I must have fell to sleep. Can I just do one more? My haiku?
Yeah, can do your haiku, yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's all about you. Countries in pandemic, countries on fire, countries at war, yet you want a holiday to fly away from your stress. How ironic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please give a big hand for Elvis Gregory.
Oh, Elvis.
Thank you.
Okay. I think actually what I'm going to do now is to ask Sally if you're ready. Sally, are you available? Yeah, I think I'll let you. Then if your throat goes, we've actually managed to hear your poem, which I'd love to do. So next up, please, a big hand for Sally Aston.
Walking meditation. In a soft swirl of misty stars, our world is turning. Here you stand. Let heart rest easy. You belong. Knowing you're as important as any other, that your next footfall is all you need to do right now. Place your foot slowly, gently into your next step. I can't give you security, but know this, the most important thing in the furthest reach of space and time, among misty stars in a clear black night, and the busiest runs of their hectic towns, the most important thing is your quiet turn of heel and toe, soft touch of foot with ground.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Sally. Absolutely lovely. Please, a big hand for Sally Aston. Hey, now next up is Pulowski Moore, Mr. Pulow. I don't know what the M stands for, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's just my first initial.
Oh, okay.
I was being artistic. I dropped the period a long time ago. It's just my first initial. It should be M period Pulowski, but I just, I was trying to be avant-garde.
Anyway, welcome and let's hear your poem.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry. I was going to, okay. I just was going to put it in the chat. I think I got it in the chat. Okay. I will just begin with a brief introduction. It's just a brief introduction for the poem. It won't be long. And the poem is not really that long. In less than 2 months, approximately 20,000 Jews were massacred, murdered on the banks of the Danube River. More than 3,000 Hungarian and Jewish citizens lost their lives on the Danube bank during the Arrow Cross terror. Before the executions, they were ordered to remove their shoes. This is the poem that I wrote in response to that. Ghost of the Danube. I came to the murky waters to feel the wanton waves of the river Danube, to experience, to understand the legacy of the souls who left their shoes on the bank. The wind carried voices, pleading, screaming, agony, gunshots, silence, spirits falling, floating away from the phantom stage. I cried, standing there. The river swelled, the dark water came to my feet. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Pulowski Moore. And chillingly beautiful. I mean, really.
It's
Very
amazing.
chilling. Yes, very haunting.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, I don't think we have Matty here, do we, Jason? Matty Blades?
No, I can't see him.
Right, okay. And I know that Kuma-san can't be with us. She sent her apologies. I don't think we have Vicky Hampton either. No?
No.
Okay. No? So Louise Longson. Are you here, Louise? No? Right. Okay. And luckily, Peter's given me a piece of paper here for several other people who want to do open mic. So first of all, let's welcome Annie Ellis. Annie, would you like to do a poem for us? Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. I'm going to read out of the new anthology. A couple of my poems are in, called The Elements.
Brilliant.
This is about the world at the very, very, very beginning. If everybody knew, the earth was just water. At the beginning, she pulled at her reins to control the leaping horses. Appearing as Earth's neighbour, she was smooth and creamy, as white as the crest of the waves. New, with no craters, she looked at a world full of blue. Turbulent water spread all over. No earth to see yet. She pulled at her reins once more, drew back the sea from the land, waited for years for trees and grasses, protected the homes for the coming of creatures, watched the arrival of man, how he rode her stormy seas. The tides she controlled at the tip of her fingers, keeping calm when the strong winds weren't blowing. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Annie. Thank you so much. Unmute and give a big hand to Annie Ellis. Lovely. I'm glad you got your poem in there. That was beautifully done. Okay, next up I have Leslie Spencer. Leslie?
Oh, yes, hello. Right.
Hello. Yeah, if you'd like to read us your poem, that would be lovely. Thank you.
This is one of my least depressing poems. I thought I'd take you in gently to my personality. It's called Edgy. I hadn't been to London for a while, which is my spiritual home, not Royal Wootton Bassett. Anyway, it's called Edgy. So I'm standing on the corner waiting for my Uber. A guy drives around the corner. I'm looking at his number. Why are you looking at my number? All London, Jamaican patois. I thought you were my Uber. I have to check the number. He looks stoned, paranoid, out of his mind. Only a young man with no badge in mind. So sorry, says he. My hands make the sign, no problem. I speak all Buddhist chill. Blimey, it's edgy round here. He gets out the car, does something afar, comes back and says, so sorry, so sorry. No problem, says I, shocked, but surprised by his humble tumble. The people are stressed beyond their test, no wealth to stave the harsh winter days, all shapes and sizes, colours and styles. I love it, but oh God, it's edgy round here.
Thank you, Leslie. That was brilliant. Very edgy. Thank you very much. Big hand for Leslie Spencer.
Thank you.
Next up, Agatha Palmer. Agatha?
She's here somewhere.
She's here, yeah.
Hello, Agatha. Yes, she is, but she's muted. And can you hear us? Oh, brilliant.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's happened with my camera. I cleaned it and cleaned it.
Fuzzy, but we can see you. We can hear you. So
thank
if
you.
you'd like to do your poem, that'd be great.
Congratulations on fabulous edition of your trawler and all that are in it. This poem just got published by Harana Press in the last week. Crossings. My father was a captain ordered to cross the Baltic Sea in a boat with a half-sealed bow door, barely watertight, but luckier than the Zeebrugge ferry, which capsized when water poured in, drowning 193 of its passengers. The responsibility perforated his stomach, ulcers flooding his gut with blood, while our relationship was already hemorrhaging. He survived, but seen as added stress, I wasn't allowed to visit. I emigrated across the sea to create enough distance between us. None of it matters right now, as I'm floating down the River Avon, drenched in summer birdsong, in the slow flow of a Sunday morning, with a friend beside me, our things bundled inside a high-tech sack for an easy swim, even though we are carrying everything we need. Suddenly, I'm thinking about that dark night on the Belgian coast, the people thrown from the Herald into the English Channel, and refugees who'd left their families making impossible choices, falling from their rafts in the Mediterranean, unable to float. Thank you.
Gosh, thank you, Agatha. Another chilling, really chilling in that poem there. Brilliant. Thank you. A big hand for Agatha Palmer. And next up, Sharon Brown. Welcome, Sharon. We haven't heard from you for ages, but it's lovely to have you back.
Oh, it's lovely to be back. It's been quite a year, but never mind. I'll spare the details. This poem is called Will Did Not. It's about someone who has lost contact with themselves, and how I experience that, I suppose. Squinting at the light, perpetual motion, heart banging, you will not call nor say, I love you, love you. Letting distance into night, all the commotion, head raging, you did not shout nor say, I love you, love you. Seeing something fight with dreadful devotion, fingers tearing, you will not move nor say, I love you, love you. Something that holds you tight with dark divination, suffocating, you do not breathe nor say, I love you, love you. Circles end not in sight, with blinding subjugation, eyes bleeding, you do not move, you do not say, I love you, love you. Squinting at the light, twisted starvation, binding, needing, something does not move, something will not say, will not hold, not love you, love you. I love you, love you.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Sharon. Oh,
Wonderful.
I have missed you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. I love the repetition. I love the performance as well as the beautiful poem. Please unmute and a big hand for Sharon. And we're rapidly coming up to our first feature of the evening. But Carol, I wondered, would you be okay to read your poem now?
Yes, I can read, and thank you for publishing me in this wonderful book. I'm going to read two very short poems from it. The first one's just a bit of fun, really. It's called In Case of Emergency. In case of emergency, don't call me. I'm not free. Call someone else instead. I'm no good at spontaneity. Surprise fills me with dread. Switch off my phone, bolt the door. I don't live here anymore. Thank you. And the second one is called Postcard, and it's a bit of like a nod towards William Carlos Williams. It's just I was doing something in his style. So it's called Postcard. I'm sorry I went without you. You said you didn't want to go. I think you would have loved it here. Thank you.
Oh, gosh. That was so short and so beautiful. Could you read it again, please? Yes, please. I know. I was just trying to do, and I missed it.
Let me just, no, here we are, it's a postcard. I'm sorry I went without you. You said you didn't want to go. I think you would have loved it here.
I love that. Love that.
I love it. Thank you so much, Carol. That's brilliant.
Yeah, excellent.
And there was me thinking she'd take up a little bit of time.
Would you like me to do my poem next?
Yes, you can do your poem, Peter.
Right, I've got to find it now. Okay, this is a short one too. Josephine and I finally caught COVID in April this year, Easter, and this is just something about my experience. It's called COVID Day 8. Coughing is very draining, especially late in the evening, like yesterday. Just when you thought it was over, you are doubled over, sucking in air to throw it out. Sorry. That's it.
Thank you, Peter.
Hey? What'd you say?
Coughing, and please make a big hand for Peter there. Oh, right. Well, I think before with that, if you're okay, Raine, good. We will take your set. If that's all right with you, Raine.
Yes, that's fine, Josephine.
Yes, hi, lovely. Okay. And can you pronounce your name again so that I make sure I say it properly?
It's Geoghegan.
Geoghegan.
Geoghegan, yeah.
Okay. Raine Geoghegan, MA, is a Welsh-born gypsy poet, writer and playwright living in the UK. She's a Forward Prize, twice Pushcart Prize and Best of the Net nominee. Her work has been published internationally, both online and in print. Her 3 pamphlets are published with Hedgehog Press. Her essay, It's Hopping Time, is published in the anthology of Gifts of Gravity and Light with Hodder and Thornton. She's performed at Ledbury Poetry Festival, Chichester Festival, Over the Edge in Galway, and many more. Her first full collection, The Talking Stick, O Puckering Kosh, is published with Salmon Poetry Press. She teaches performance skills and has extensive experience in theatre and dance. So we're very, very pleased to welcome Raine Geoghegan. Please, a big round of applause.
Thank you.
And if everybody would mute now, please, that would be great.
Thank you, Josephine, so much. Thank you, and Peter, for inviting me. And yes, I just want to second that the Trawler 2022 is jam-packed with some wonderful poetry. I'm sorry I can't sort of comment on everything, but I've got terrible arthritis, and it's got worse over the last couple of weeks. I think it's the cold weather. So I'm going to make a start with a sequence of poems which was published in the Trawler. And I will tell you a little bit about Saint Sarah, the patron saint of the Romany people. Saint Sarah, or Sarah la Kali, as she's also known, is the patron saint of the Romany people. It is said that she was the servant of one of the 3 Marys, and she travelled by boat to the Camargue. Her statue remains in the shrine of Saint Marie de la Mer, and every year she is carried down to the sea as part of a ritual which honours her and her close relationship to the Roma. First poem, Her Names Are Many, a reimagining of Sarah Kali. Some call her Blessed One, her names are many. Look, there she goes, dressed in her finery for a gypsy Roma. Black leather boots, long purple dress, gold around her neck and a feather in her hat. She'll mingle with the guests, drink wine until she's skimmished. She'll hitch her skirts up and dance like the young ones. Just before she leaves, she'll give order and sing a song that nobody knows, but everyone loves. And then, as if by magic, she'll disappear into the shadows, into the dust that rolls along the empty streets and never settles. The word Roma means wedding, and the word skimmish, which is one of my favorite gypsy words, means drunk or tipsy. Next poem, Shrine at Sainte Marie de la Mer, Good Friday 2020, lockdown. The shrine is empty today. No footfall except for one woman who comes daily to clean the statue of Sarah Kali. As she wipes the limbs of her beloved saint, she sings and the shrine is full with song. Once finished, she kneels, resting her bones. Sarah Kali is dreaming, a boat on the shore, white horses galloping towards her. She, a young girl, wanting to do good. The woman offers up her prayers, kisses the feet of her faithful mother. Once she leaves, all is quiet and still. Only the dark face in the corner of the room glistens in the final flicker of candlelight. And one more poem from the sequence in the Trawler. It's called Know My True Face. I'm a lot older than you think. Look closely, see the dust in me eyes, the rivers in me veins. Look at these hands, they carry the weight of the world, yet never grow tired. Man made me into a saint, but my life belongs to my race and the days gone past. A time when religion was found in the clay, in mountains and forests, in the song of the wind and at a mother's breast. The grains of truth have scattered far, but are found wherever we tread. So keep moving. Know that I am your mother, sister, midwife, and the Puri Dai. Come to me and know my true face. And the Puri Dai is the source of all Romany blood, and it also means the great mother. So I'm now going to read some poems from my latest collection, The Talking Stick, Opa Crin Cosh, which was launched in Ennistymon in Ireland earlier this year with Salmon. And what a great time we had over there. It was absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to introduce you to what the Romanies used to be like in the old days. I come from a Romany family. I was brought up with my grandparents, my mother, sister and auntie in Middlesex. And it was a wonderful childhood full of storytelling, music and all sorts of wild things happening. To be a Romany. Let me tell you what it was like to be a Romany in the old days. We lived in Vardas, made love and fought in them. We picked ox fruit and veg until our backs were sore. We made pegs and sold them along the drom. Then there were the gillies we sang until our voices were hoarse. The boards we laid down in the beer shop so we could step dance. The herbs we picked to mend our body and spirit. The drabas passed down. Tea leaves left in a cup to read. Cards spread on the table awaiting the dukara. Chavies brought up to rocker the Romany. We helped each other out no matter what. We cooked on the yog, rabbit stew, hotchy witchy, Joey Gray. When one of ours died, we'd sit up all night. We'd drink mesky or whiskey, sing some of the old songs. The next day, the Vardas and cobbles were burnt. There was tottin, ragging, selling the luladi. We worshipped the ground that we walked on. The fresh air, green spaces, the lungo drom, meeting up with friends, getting the gry ready for travelling and finding the next Achin tan. All this and more. I'll tell you what it was like to be a Roman in the old days. It was bloody cushy. Thank you for your lovely comment. There's obviously lots of words that are Romany here, so I'm not going to go through all of them because it would take Pericatuti, Glenda Bailey. Thank you. It would take too long, but the word dukkering, you know, is like a sort of a fortune teller. And the word ragging, which is selling old clothes, and the word luladi, which I love also, it means flowers. My granny was a flower seller right up until she was in her 80s. And people even now in Feltham High Street in Middlesex still remember her, the woman that used to push her barrow through the high street. So moving on, this poem is actually based on my granny, Amy Lane, and it's called, oh, just before I tell you this, yeah, all my family used to go hop picking, so I had to read a poem about hop picking tonight. It's called A Memory of the Hop Fields. She is in the front garden, bending low, picking bluebells, wearing her old red apron with a Spanish dancer on the front. She stands up, rubbing her lower back, her mind shaping a memory. The hop fields, her mother, lean, strong, picking the hops as quick as a squirrel, her bal in plaits tied on top of her head, her gold hoops pulling her ears down, ruddy cheeks, dry cracked lips. Her father pulling poles, sweating, smiling, his gold tooth for all to see. At the end of a long day, she would stand on top of an apple crate, comb his hair, kiss his neck, tasting of salt. He would pick her up, swing her high, low, and say, "You're the prettiest little child there ever was." And thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah, Kushti is originally a Romany word, Romany jib, and it was sort of made famous by Only Fools and Horses on the telly. So everyone knows the word Kushti. So this next poem is in memory of my grandfather, Alfie Lane, who used to sit on the doorstep making little wagons, vardas. It's called Making the Vardas. Sitting on the doorstep, he picks up his churi, makes the first cut into the oak, the finest for small vardas. He's taken to this since moving into the ken. He's made one for two of his children, now he's on the third. The juk watches him as he carves the door. He thinks of painting it red, Mary's best colour. He works quietly, dropping the shavings into a bowl. He remembers making the pegs, chinning the koshtis, they called it, when he was on the drum. He had always sold well. The Rackleys used to say he was the best peg maker in all of Kent. He didn't like the fuss, but he was proud of what he did. His dad taught him the craft, how to grind the tips until they were sharp, how to make the handle level so it fitted snug in the hand, never scolding him if he got it wrong. He rubs the tiny door down with sandpaper, holds it up to the light, brushes his fingers across it. Smooth as a pebble, eh, Butch? The juk barks, Alfie stops, he yawns, the dog yawns. I'm tired. Let's gel to Woodruff. Tomorrow he'll paint the door. When it dries, he'll stencil on the dravas, all in keeping. These little vardas, it's all we got now, eh, Butch? Thank you, thank you. So another one which is very short. Thank you, Glenda, not so much past, yes. Aunt Rye's Gypsy Gold. Everyone in my family loves gold. You'll see I've got gold earrings, I've got my gold sovereign on, and I haven't got all my gold rings on. But this is called Aunt Rye's Gypsy Gold. Sovereigns and gold chains hanging from her neck and wrists, rings through ears on fingers. At night, she places them in an embroidered bag, slips it under the mattress. She sleeps soundly as the gold warms itself, longing for her soft skin and light. Thank you. Thank you. And I think, yes, what have I got time for one or two more, Josephine?
Yeah, two It'd be fine, Rain.
Okay, yeah. So these are fairly short poems. So the next one is really based on the time when my granny and grandfather moved out of their wagon in Hamworth into a brand new council house. There was a scheme that the council were trying to get a lot of the gypsy travellers into the houses. They had, you know, I come from a family who travelled all of England for hundreds of years in their wagons. And so this was like a real sort of threshold of something new. It's called Just One Room. He stood on the back doorstep, took out a brand new key, unlocked the blue door. They both took their chockers off. He walked in first, she followed. Her eyes fell on the ceramic white sink in the corner of the kitchen. In the wagon, they had 4 bowls, one made of gold china for washing their bodies. The others were metal, one for pots and pans, one for cutlery, one for washing clothes. The smell of fresh paint hung in the air. Alfie knocked on the wall, stroked it, took a deep breath. Amy walked into the hallway. Neither spoke. Once in the sitting room, Amy's mouth opened wide. Dicker Kai, Alf. He came to the door. We could fit our whole Varda in here, she said. This is just one room. And thank you. And my final poem of my set, and I just say that if you do like these poems, they were published earlier this year. They're with Salmon Poetry. I'll try and sort of write it in the chat later on, just their website, because I only have a couple of copies left. So it's available from their website. And the last one is, thank you, Ivor, is a poem written in the perspective of a young child whose cousin goes to school in London. And Applewater is a Romany term for the county of Herefordshire, and Royal Town is the name they used to call for London. Shushi is rabbit, and Didakai is half Romany. Somewhere in Applewater country, me mum's cooking sushi stew, me dad's chinning the koshes. I'm practicing handwriting with a fine pencil. I'm looking forward to sending a proper letter to me cousin Louie. She's a Didakai and goes to school in London. Me dad calls it Royal Town and says he wouldn't go there, not if you paid him. She has to wear a uniform, red and gold, but she can't wear her gold hoops. It's against the rules. If I ever went to school, me dad would have murder if anyone touched me hoops or me ears. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, somebody's put Applewater for Hereford, lovely, never heard of it. No, these are all in the time of George Borrow. These are all terms that the old gypsy travellers used to call for all the counties. So yeah, Applewater was for Hereford, making the cider, and London was called Royal Town, and there were lots of others. I can't remember the one for Gloucestershire now, I've forgotten it, but I think it's quite lovely actually. Anyway, that's my set. It's been lovely reading for you, and as I said, some lovely poetry in the anthology, but also I'm listening tonight to some lovely poetry, so thank you. And thank you, Josephine.
Thank you, Rain. That was beautiful. Please unmute and give a round of applause for Rain. Here we go. I really had no idea. It's fascinating, a world that is hidden to so many of us, and you are opening it up, and that is so important. And they're fabulous, fabulous poems.
Thank you.
Another really big round of applause. It was fabulous.
Thank you.
Okay, so we come to our break. What's the time? Here we go. It's 9:10. If we can get back here about just after
20 past.
20 past. Sorry?
20 past.
Yeah, get back here at 20 past. That would be lovely. It's been a great first half. and we've got more to come. So I'm really looking forward to it. Once again, thank you, Raine, and everybody who's read so far. A big round of applause for all of those readers. You are quite happy. Can we stop recording now, Jason?
Okay. Right, welcome back to the second house, everybody. It's fallen on me to introduce the next feature because she is usually your host. So as this is her final Crafty Crows as the host, although I guess it's possible she might do some guest hosting in the future, but on this so I'm going to talk about Josephine. Josephine Lay is a poet and writer living near Gloucester. She turned to literature late in life and studied for a BA and MA in Creative English at Bough University in her early 50s. Josephine has been Director of Ops for the Gloucestershire Poetry Society over the last 3 years and hosts Crafty Crows, a monthly online poetry event. She has read at the Cheltenham Poetry Festival, the Gloucestershire Poetry Festival, and at many events across the southwest of England and the Midlands. Josephine has published 3 collections of poetry: Inside Reality 2018, Unravelling 2019, and A Quietus 2021, all published by Black Eyes. She has poems published in several magazines, including Ink, Sweat and Tears, Black Bough Poetry, and The Steel Jackdaw, and in various poetry anthologies. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Josephine. Can you pin, please, Jason?
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. It's been very strange to be sort of in this seat as opposed to in that seat. Now, you may have pinned, but I'm not getting myself on the speaker view. It's very weird. So am I pinned? Well, you are pinned to me. That's
Yes,
the
you are
weird thing.
pinned, yes.
Right, it's very odd. Anyway, okay. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Peter. So now I'm going back to gallery because otherwise all I see is Jason or Peter, which worries me. So
hang on, can I just stop you? Who's pinned, Jason?
I've pinned Josephine.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So when I'm talking, it's full screen.
I'm still showing Raine as pinned.
Yeah, you need to remove the pin then.
I do.
Individual people can pin and unpin. So.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Right, but for recording purposes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. And we've started recording now. So, okay. Just let me get the things up. I'm not, as I say, this feels exceedingly strange. So I just want to say how much of an honour it's been to run the Gloucestershire Poetry Society for the last 3 years, alongside Jason and Peter, of course. And as Peter was saying, when Ziggy handed over to me in January 2020, I had all sorts of ideas in mind for its future. They were quickly overturned by the COVID pandemic, and so never came about. However, out of that turmoil was born Crafty Crows. And it's been a delight to host this Zoom event every month, which has connected us with so many poets from around the country and the world. I've made many friends, and my life's been very much enriched by my role. Before I go on, I just want to add a few words on how I see the amazing poetic multiplicity of the GPS. Not all the poets are professional poets, are published poets, are in any way sophisticated poets, but that is not to lessen their verve and their enthusiasm for poetry. As an individual, I embrace both page and performance poetry. And Anna Saunders, a good friend and mentor of mine, said once that I straddle between the two, which sounds a bit ungainly, but I think is probably truthful. I tend to thrive on diversity. I don't really see a clear-cut boundary between these two poetic ends, more a spectrum ranging from spoken word to the page poem. This assortment of poetic talent includes prose poetry, confessional poetry on mental health issues and abuse, therapeutic rants, rap, slam poetry, spoken word, performance poets, and so on. And of course, the beautifully written words on the page. So my set tonight is going to reflect on this to some extent. I've written, as Peter was saying, three collections, but whilst being a member of the GPS, I've collected these two. Unravelling, which was more towards the performance poetry, and A Quietus, which was definitely more towards the page. So I've taken some poems from both. Interestingly, I began to realise how much of a link there was between them, and I think you might notice that later too. I will also put in one trigger warning, and that trigger warning is for discussing death. Now, it appears to me, going through both books, how obsessed I appear to be with this subject, and practically a lot of my poem is writing, poetry is writing about this subject. So I apologise for that in advance. I'm going to start off with a poem that I wrote very early on with in my time with the GPS. It's called When I Hit My Head. When I hit my head, I saw stars, not like the ones in the night sky, more like a red firework. I got up as fast as I was able. I was caring for my grandson, who's 3. He said, "Are you all right, Nanny?" "Yes," I lied, holding on to the table. When I hit my head, somebody's not muted. Could we have the muting, please?
Down the bottom.
Jason.
Just trying to find it.
Ron.
Sorry. When I hit my head, light entered along with the pain, which showed me new perspectives. I saw the world again as though it had been newly painted. My brain was shaken, unscrambled, returned to factory settings. I developed a new personality, freed from all responsibility. I've become a performance poet. I've joined the GPS, which I adore. I don't look after grandchildren. I don't do housework anymore. Dirty washing rises in quantity. I'm out more often than I'm in. Paradoxically, I was glad I'd hit it. That is, until 6 months later when, yes, you've got it, I hit my head again. The lights went out just for a minute. The July sun was hot, as was the concrete block I fell over. Returned to A&E confused, where the staff, of course, were great, but only after a 4-hour wait. Since then, I've observed performance poets. Each has individuality, and some wear hats for personality. I wanted some headwear to give me flair and gain me more attention. What kind of hat would pass that test? Given my past history, a hard hat might be best. Twice I've had concussion. It's left a strong impression. Too proud to use a stick. I need this hat's protection in case of scoring a hat trick. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Ooh, just dropped it on the floor. Good job, it's a hard hat. Thank you. Okay, so that is sort of where I came in and what I was doing right at the beginning. The main title poem for Unravelling also was a favourite of mine, which is a mixture between page and performance. Unravelling. I lie on my bed tasting silence, eyes closed, fingers sensing fabric. This is me, totally, just for this instant. The moment passes, time stretches out, elongates behind me and beyond like a thread. My life was made from such strands, woven correctly. I was successful, kept the yarn taut, the right tension and even stress. No mistakes in the warp and weft, no empty spaces, no knots, no dropped stitches. I managed this trick for years, kept life's blanket smooth, warming, protective. But now I am unraveling. I pulled a wrong thread. The fabric disintegrates. These strands are not strong enough to lead me back. Another poet, another thing to get used to when you're learning to write poetry or learning to improve your poetry is the workshop. Now, workshops can be fun, but they can also be very challenging and confusing. And the next poem is about one that I went to in one of the festivals, and I realize probably now what the guy was trying to get at, but at the time I hadn't a clue. Trying to write poetry in a workshop I don't understand is like an invisible force twisting me in its vice. Pressure of direction, distracting connection, till blankness descends, empty and uncomprehending. White noise, like two voices competing on different wavelengths with the same intensity. My brain static, though not black, just a lack of action, a falling and failing, a quiet turbulence vying with suspension, looking for a soft landing. I'm going to go straight on. So those poems came from Unravelling, but I'm going to read this next one because it's similar in a way, and it comes from A Quietus. It's called Sewn Up. Brick walls and fences hem me in. The fabric of civilization folds around me, seams me into shape. Patterns designed at birth, pinned into place, tacked and stitched, presented with mannequin smile. I reach for the scissors, cut away the frills, unlace the corset, step naked into the wild and run. I will be caught, sewn back into line, but I will break out again. The next one is the start of talking about death. And it's weird that Unravelling was written when I thought I had a heart condition. Actually, it turned out it was okay. It was just arrhythmia. And so that started me thinking about death. And also a friend of mine who was very suicidal over the death of a friend of theirs. And so I wrote this next poem for them, really. It's just called Sadness. Sadness, my friend, seeps under the skin, slips between your lips whenever you speak of them. The taste is bitter, sweet, and cannot be escaped. For loved ones do sicken and sometimes die, and left on your tongue is the question, why? There's no reason that will suffice. It's merely life, and this is death. You are left bereft. Blue-black the mood that slides into your mind. The dark tunnel opens, invites you to enter. But once within those subterranean walls, it's too easy to surrender. Why struggle? Why feel? Why suffer? Why live through what is real? the slippery slope descends beneath your feet, but do not walk down it. Keep your eyes ever on the horizon, even if it's blurred by tears. Hold fast to the light. Grip life with your fingertips. Friends will help. Hands will hold long enough to save you from harm. Yield to their love, even though living hurts. And so I'm going from a performance poem through to a page poem. And this is one of the title poems of A Quietus. This one is something that has a calming or soothing effect. A quietus is the falling into the space between notes. A quietus is absence, a track after a train has passed, a landscape free of people, the relaxing of tired muscle, the pausing for breath. A quietus is stillness after storm, the dropping of wind, the drying of ground, the smoothness between ripples on the surface of water. A quietus is a sleeping beast, felt pads between talons, skin beneath the fur. Thank you. The next one is So That I'm Not Always on Death. I thought I'd better put this one in because it's unrequited love, and there's one or two of those in both collections. This one is called The Branding Iron. The touch of her hand on your arm burns you, and you know that piece of skin will always feel different. Her skirt strokes your knee as she turns, and you inhale her perfume. You ask her to stay, to have another drink. She smiles at you with sympathetic eyes, and you feel pitied. You know she can't reciprocate. Kindness is all she will offer. Suddenly, you wish she would leave, though the warmth of her body ignites you. But you could so easily hate her for not giving in, for not loving you back. Excuse me. I think I may be in danger of overrunning tonight, but since we're running fairly early, I'm not going to take too much notice. I hope you don't mind. So I'm just going to keep going. The next one comes from A Quietus again, and is definitely a page poem. It's called The Enlightenment of Stones. Consider the stones as they sit, as still as Buddhas, contemplating the weight of gravity. Stones suffer in their development. Some are forged in fire, some are pressured into hardness by the movement of tectonic plates. Others are shaped by water or cracked by ice. When they find a place to settle, stones have no desire to move, moss or no moss. Adopt the silence of stone, the stillness of rock. Let thought drift across hills of time, and stalagmites form in the caves of mind. Sit like stones, content to be. So for the next one, more about death. And this was a poem I wrote in Unravelling about the fact that I thought I had a heart condition. So fortunately, it wasn't a serious one. It's called A New Art. I need to learn a new art, one that will start me living for the moment. My time may be limited, so each day should glow like a beacon on a high peak, as I may never know when I must speak goodbye. And so, what can I say to you as I gaze into the abyss that I have circled several times before, but never quite like this? Then, in my youthful desperation, I sought to end it all as a kind of liberation from frenzy and pain. I have no desire to walk again so close to this cliff edge. Now I long to stay, my hand holding fast to yours. Each mist or feeble beat reminds me that I won't always be able to cheat my end, and that I must look upon my demise as a kind of friend who'll smile at me as the cliff crumbles beneath my feet, and I tumble into the everlasting deep. Thank you. Now back to a page poem, Quietus. Definition: death or something that causes death, regarded as a release from life. When they are released from life, where do the dead reside? They cunningly conceal that loss of mass as they slide from the body into the immensity between stars. They slip into the space between atoms, beneath layers of skin, along shafts of bone, deep in the belly of muscle. They wait in the atrium of the heart, invisible, weightless, till we in turn drop into the darkness between matter. And one last one from A Quietus. I love this poem because I was looking at archaeology, and I was thinking about the goods that are left in the grave by all sorts of peoples all over the world for millennia. And I thought, what would I want in my grave? And I started to see death not as something to fear so much, but as something that can be quite beautiful in some ways. And so this is called Grave Goods. Somewhere far out on wild hill or plain, dig deep in soft soil, place me with love beneath a sapling of a silver birch. Bury me with no shroud, no Sunday best. Lay me down on moist earth as in a crib, and set a stone to pillow my head. Leave on my finger your single gold ring, and put your silver pendant at my throat. Shake petals on my eyes to aid my sleep, then lower the tree's embracing roots, return the soil, and tread us firmly down. Together we'll lie under wind and rain. I will slowly decline, and the tree will take my atoms to form leaflets at its crown. And we're nearly there, we're nearly coming to the end. Two more poems. The next one is one that I have just written at a workshop to do with trees that was run by Rose Leonard in Cheltenham Kings. It was a really lovely poetry workshop. It's called Within the Wood. Within the wood, I walk under the canopy of trees, search through fallen leaves for beech nuts, soft, brown and furry in my palm. I squirrel them away inside my mind to plant them in a mulch of memories. My roots are sunk in English soil, my trunk's grown straight and true. Seasons have nurtured with sun and rain. But now a storm is rising, whose winds will strip all my branches bare, will topple the trunks of the tallest trees, and leave behind a suffocation of absence. And last, but in some ways by no means least, and I'm not going to apologize if you've heard this before, because actually I don't think poems should only be heard once. I think we should hear them many times, because each time it's a little different. Some people are not very keen on this. It is a definite performance piece, and I don't often do it, but I want to say this. It's my message to everybody in the GPS, everybody that's come to Crafty Crows, every poet that I've ever met. It's called Voices of Long Dead Poets. The voices of long dead poets resound in my ears. Their words swirl through my mind, moving me to tears. Many of these poets led sad lives, and their pain oozes between the lines. Their lives were lived in futility and the inevitability of death. Their words were the only immortality they could be sure of. So poets, open your mouths to draw breath. Speak your lines of verse. Don't stay silent, for there's nothing worse than swallowing words. They will eventually choke you, give you indigestion, provoke you into anger and frustration, till smoke comes pouring out your ears. Or they will drag you down and devastate, disrupt your dreams and dissolve them into tears. The salt water will saturate, bloat and suppurate you till your flesh falls from your bones. Staying silent brings death. So if you have words, I urge you, draw breath and speak them. Give them their freedom and see them enter other people's minds. Watch them fly on wings of fire. See them inspire imagination. Take the light of their flight and shine it out until people are blinded by the sight and sound of your words. Words are the sacred symbols of every poet's soul. Revere them, praise them, raise them to the rafters. Never chain them to convention. Never put them in detention. Don't allow them to be sold, bought, or bartered for gold. Never stop the voices of the long dead poets. Never burn a book or destroy a verse. Let their words swirl through your senses. Let their pain ooze between the lines. From their experience, draw the essence. Resurrect their presence. Constantly remembering that our lives are lived in futility and the inevitability of death. And soon we will be the long dead poets, and our words will be the only immortality we can be sure of. Thank you.
Please unmute. Please unmute and give a big round of applause for Josephine Lay, please.
Yay.
Thank you, Josephine.
Ooh, thank you.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you are, page and poetry, page and performance together, which is for me everything that's important about poetry.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Josephine. Another round of applause, please, for Josephine. Thank you.
Woo! Yeah, Josephine.
Super.
Right.
Yes, well done. Amazing.
Okay, we're going to move on. As much as difficult it is to move on after that.
Sorry to interrupt, Peter, but you could say that in the chat, put the two books.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. That would be good. You see, this is the trouble with being the host. Very hard to give it up.
I'll put the Black Eyes link in there, and then you can go into the Black Eyes shop, and that's where you'll find it. Somebody's talking. If you're between, obviously when you're applauding you need to unmute, but between things can you mute, please? Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Josephine. So moving on, we're still waiting for 3 or 4 people, I think, but we have a chunk of people here now. Some more have come in while some of the ones we were expecting. So I'm going to move on. Clive, are you there?
I am.
Can you do your poem from the trawler now, please?
Yeah, we'll do.
Clive will be back.
First of all, I just want to say I am having a few internet issues. It seems to have settled down now, but if I do disappear mid-poem, it's not one of my tricks. I genuinely am having problems. I have cut out several times during the course of the day and the event. So, right, my poem in the trawler. A little reminder of what inspired this, because in relative terms, it's ancient history now. And it was inspired by what really sort of demonstrated the absolute absurdity of the capitalist system, when a footballer, a very good one, mind you, but a footballer called Cristiano Ronaldo wiped $4 billion off the value of Coke by not drinking Coke at a press conference. They put the Coke in front of him and he put it to one side and drank water instead. And the Coca-Cola company lost $4 billion on its value, on its share value. So that inspired this. It's called The Real Thing. It was irony on a scale to make a Larnis brush. A Larnis brush? Who's a Larnis brush? I'll start that again. It was irony on the scale to make a Larnis blush. The final of the slam, and the last performer slayed it with a passion that would have crushed the strongest opposition. She knew she had clinched the top position with a tirade against capitalism so fierce as to make the Tories fear prison, put Labour's right would drift into remission, and put Corbyn to the right of the New World Order. The scores came in, 5 perfect tens. And watching promoters doubted they could afford her, and yet the media were sure to laud her, and she will be recognised across all borders. The audience of 29 clubbed together for a bottle of wine, but she refused it, was offered Pepsi but eschewed it, and took a glass of water from the tap. That's right, the tap. Oh, crap. Soon it was all over Facebook, #1 trending on Insta and Twitter, and Evian shares went down the shitter. Perrier did a similar thing, and Buxton Spring was no longer a thing. And here's the thing. Cristiano Ronaldo, the world's second best soccer bloke, who wiped $4 billion off the value of Coke, was once again second fiddle, and this is no joke, to a teenage slammer from the city of Stoke. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clive. You'll be hearing more from Clive later.
Never mind, there are plenty of good poets as well.
Clive, traditionally, it's become a tradition now. It sort of started as a bit of a joke, but now it's become a tradition. Clive traditionally is the last act on Crafty Crows. So you will hear from Clive at the end. Okay, moving on. Mimi German, can you do a poem now, please?
Hi, I thought it was a surprise, so thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for everyone reading it. I happened into this today, and I'm so grateful that I did. I'll share a poem that I have right here. It's called 1,000 Grains of Sand. America, the dominatrix, empire of 1,000 grains of sand, whose masters ink in the high heels of war whores, who circle jerk at the feast of landlords while spilling slop bucket prayers to the poor. America, how necrotic your soul. Your poets cringe in the wake of your obscenities, your rotted stench of henchmen, pillagers of lands once verdant and alive. Your orchards of poverty grow seeds of death, America, the illiterate. You were never ready to leave home. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Then they did a feature set at Crafty Crows. Was it the last one or the one before? During the Gloucester Poetry Festival. If you want to catch that, you can on YouTube.
Thank you for that, Peter.
Thank you. Moving on, Sue Finch, can you do a poem now?
I'd love to, Peter. Thank you so much. What a lovely evening. So this one's called The Coin. I imagine putting that pound coin in my mouth, tonguing it from heads to tails and back again. A clock somewhere struck 8 as you walked in, while the minute hand of the one I was eyeing clicked its 30th tick. Your hair, your skirt, your makeup, your eyes straight ahead told me I was out of your league. Then that fumble of fingers had the coin falling from your grip. Just one floor was all I needed to say my name. Like a one-armed bandit on 777, I rattled out the stories of my life. And still, you said yes to a coffee I wouldn't make, and paused on the bridge over the canal to kiss me. I could love that pound coin forever, take its metallic tang again and again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Wow. I love that one. It's one of the I can't remember when it was posted, but I remember seeing it on the Facebook page and thinking, oh well, we've got to put that in the trawler. Okay, Carlos.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I'm going to do 2 for you tonight. I'm going to do a love poem first, and
as long as they're not both too long.
But they're really long. Everyone's going to be here till midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, this is called Stars Keep Vigil. Like I say, it's a love poem. Stars keep vigil over your sleep. How softly the night arrives when I am with you, except when the moaning clouds foregather and helpless walls rise raw and tall. Then perhaps I will step back into the velvet universe, slip into the neon waves, drown in the dust of stars, slide there in my own open resting. Nature and all its beauty are nothing, nothing more than the oblivion of creation, rejoicing in its rejoicing in its magical nothing and everything everness. Anyway, and after all, the universe sent me, so she has every right to claim me, especially when I am empty, dark down, dead in the gloom, as dead as the glorious entropy from whence I came. Then, when I am gone, you will know that her stars watch over you still. At least, that is what I hope. That hope, my deepest hope, you could call love. Thank you. And if you're reading along, this is on page 100 of the trawler. There you go. The other one was the trawler one as well. And I'm very pleased to say that this one was highly commended by the Dean Writers Circle, which I am now a member, but when I entered it, I wasn't a member, honestly. And this was a prompt on the zodiac, and I'm not a very astrological person, but I am a very astronomical person, perhaps, shall we say. So I found this quite difficult as a prompt, but I came up with this poem, and it was written on the night of the title, 15th of April, 2022. It's called Prayer of the Zodiac Night, 15th of April, 2022. There's one odd word in here called scowls, which is a sort of cuts left in the landscape, particularly in the Forest of Dean, from iron ore works. So here it is. Evening, and only the soft treetops remain stroked by sun, except for our forest now gold crown, Mayhill. Even a pale, full spring moon has risen early to regard her sweet golden splendor, whilst I scribble in a little notebook my full moon heart of loneliness. Memories like scars of skulls. But this Aries evening cares not that torturing darkness, when instead the amber evening slumber light slides to die and slip kindly into moonglow and thankfulness. So that's that poem. It's actually, it's two poems in one. You can actually read the first word of each stanza as a separate poem, which goes, evening, even memories, cares, slip. So you get two poems for one. Thank you very much, and thank you for Peter and Josephine for all your hard work. You've been a great inspiration, and I love your inclusivity. Thank you very, very much.
Right. I'm going to hand back to Josephine any second to take over. I'll just update you on where we are. Just a bit of housekeeping, folks. Thank you very much for the poets that have just been. And we'll give obviously a big applause at the end for all these poets. Dane and Tish, we were expecting, I knew they were going to be late, but I was expecting them, and they may still arrive, but they are obviously struggling. Kezabel Ambler was also had a reason that she was going to be late, and she may still arrive as well. And Charlie Markwick was going to be joining us in his car from somewhere in France near Biarritz. But he's
Charlie is with
yet.
us.
I'm here.
Yeah, Charlie has joined.
Charlie, you've arrived. Where is he?
I'm here too.
Who's here?
Was that Kezabel?
Kezabel, yeah, and Charlie.
Oh, well, I can't see you, Kezabel. Where are you? Oh, yes, you are. Right. Okay, then. So it's
shall I take over now, Peter?
So it's just Dane and Tish, but if you starting from Kezabel should be next. So I'll hand you over to Josephine and she'll take it from there. It's a bit chaotic
Thank you, Peter.
tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome, Kezabel. Yeah, would you like to read your poem? That would be lovely. Thank you.
I would love to, and thank you for your patience with my lateness and looking after my mum with dementia, etc. So this is a green poem that I wrote, and it's on my YouTube if you want to see the film that goes with it. And here we go. It's called Ignorance Abyss. I took daily risks on Earth's behalf as I awoke, stretched and laughed, consuming from the moment I rose. Yawn, pee, fart, wiped my arse with wet wipes, peachy clean, but not green. Air freshener sprayed to mask, blue chemicals swirled down the loo when fresh lavender, lemons or vinegar would do. Subconsciously I was saying, I don't give a shit about the planet. Tore off more perforated tissue. The world's sliding issues begin. Ran the tap, pumped the manufactured soap onto my skin. The plastic dispenser read, sea breeze, antibacterium. Sleepily standing at the sink, I think in my hazy delirium, don't we need more bacteria? They're our natural fighters. Squeezed the man-made tube of minty paste. More unsmiling waste. My convenience at the earth's inconvenience. I'm in a rush. I must invest in a bamboo toothbrush. I sink into my chair. A cool drink from the Frigidaire. Poured from the coated cardboard container with the carefully designed non-drip synthetic spouts that makes no mess. Not impressed by that irony. Watching the juicer sits idly. Parents join the mile-high club of toppling piles of disposable nappies that sit in landfills for generations. And that's before they even start to break down. We're the clowns, building a foundation of crappy plastic, not fantastic or so easily disposed of. Let's break this strangling chain and rein in our expendable choices for our children's children who are voiceless. Watching on, we couldn't feel finer in our prettily designed packages and products collecting life's flow from our vaginas. Tampons, tubes and padding regularly bought and discreetly disposed of, but to where? Let's face facts, they're so heavily taxed, they'll keep quiet about the cheaper, greener alternative out there. Save money and our earth by purchasing a moon cup just once. And then we'll leap into sports fads, smiling like all the ads say we do at that time of the month. Maybe tomorrow I'll sort out the glaring changes around me. But less tomorrows for the creatures of the sea, with no voice or choice in the matter, in the clatter of human falls. We rule from a school of thought that ignores mountains of minuscule plastic droplets that bejewel and fuel our lives, never satiated by the rainbow of mass-produced forms we've cleverly created, invented for our short-term fix and delight, or just to save time. Life's magpie shinier things climb, glossing over and distracting. One moment, sorry. Glossing over and distracting us, sweeping, challenging world problems under the carpet or into the sea. Cesspools of waste slowly seeping, creeping into our beautiful waters, drowning in our throwaway lifestyles. Even the food we eat is being affected, tainted by our expulsions, daily chemicals, sprays and gases as the masses turn a blind eye, relaxing in the green room of life. Animals try desperately to search for ground, to forage and survive in our tarmacked, slabbed and civilized infrastructure. Our green and acquiescent land rains smog-polluted tears upon us. We're slowly but surely wrecking and wreaking havoc on our world. Shh, enough earth stuff. Mum's the word. More mantras of not knowing, but we know. We console ourselves that at least we recycle in this daily cycle, but we know deep down we can do more. It's just a decision away, second by second, day by day. No matter what your mates say, we can amend lifelong habits, learned behaviours passed down. Refrain from this daily drain. The earth's running on empty, and yes, I know I drove here today. I'm not perfect in any way, but I'm learning and discovering natural recipes and remedies for cleaning me from within, my home, my environment, my skin. A daily warrior, not worrier, of shared tomorrows on borrowed time, as precarious, precious, and delicate as that is. We often fear change in our chosen and aware. Let's start to care again in our bumpy love affair with life. Thank you.
Whoa. Thank you, Jezebel.
Thank you.
Wow. That really makes you think. There's several things there I was going, ooh.
It's a simple thing, isn't it? You know, your skin, for example, we don't need to buy tubes of creams. You can use coconut oil in the daytime and olive oil at night. Done.
Well, most people can, but I'd probably get a rash from coconut oil. I'm allergic to lanolin. I'll use lanolin. There you go. Okay, that was brilliant. Thank you. Big round of applause for Jezebel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Charlie Markwick, let's grab you before you disappear. Or have you disappeared? Hello?
He was
No
in his
sign?
car. I can't see him. Where is he?
No, I think he might have.
I
This
think
is the trouble.
He's gone. Yeah, probably signal dropped out.
Oh,
Okay.
what a shame.
Well,
Tried
maybe
to
he'll come
grab
back.
him. Hopefully. Okay, who's up next? We've had, who have we not had so far? Oh, we've had Carlos. Tish isn't here.
Derek.
Derek. Yee! Derek Doran, please. Welcome. A big round of applause for Derek Doran.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, you've caught me on the hop. I wasn't expecting my name to be read out there. Okay, so the one poem I want to read for you is it's in the trawler. It's on page 117. If you've got a copy there. And as some of you know, last year I got my dream job, which enabled me to go and live on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. It's a dream I'd nurtured for decades. And I was back within 3 months because it was absolute hell, right? So without going into all the reasons, it was one of the worst times of my life. And it took about another 6 months before I was able to write anything relating to that time. And the poem that I wrote, it's simply called Sky. And it's kind of a lament really for a lost dream, I would say. Here we go. Remember me to Valtos on the spume-flecked road from Lilt, dinosaur bones and storm-tossed red zinc roofs over peat, to the rain-drenched air of Storr, where the Trottenish rocks descend down Staffan's shore as Gallic gulls tumble and mock. Remember me to Glasnakill on the salt-sprayed road from Elgol to Sligachan and Carlichan and beaches of kelp and coral, to the mossy trek up Scorry Breck, atop the Portree Brae, that wends from Shully Shadowbeg and climbs above the bay. Remember me. Thank you.
Oh, love that, Derek. Love it. I mean, how you can pronounce all those names, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the way you've put them together to make such a rhythm is beautiful. Thank you, Derek. Big hand for Derek Doran.
Thank you.
Charlie's back.
Pardon, Charlie's back. Charlie, where are you?
I'm Alex, not Charlie.
Alexander
You're Alex, Alexander, hello. Welcome. And before you disappear again, just in case, would you like to read your poem?
I'd love to, although it's a pretty high bar following Carlos the Unhappy, Kezabel and Derek, but I'll do my best. And before I read, Josephine, just to say thank you so much for your stewardship for the for this society. You've done a lot for the society. So this is a poem called Wheels. I've never driven on a bike before, at least not the sort that purrs and growls. These last 2 days I've rectified that lack. Up and down the hills to Camala we went, twisting, turning with the windy road. Chicanery abounds and leaning into every bend plucks the thrilling chords inside my head. The fear of hurt is never far away, so close to the gritty surface I'm speeding on, but that exposure brings opulence as well. Rich sounds and smells that are hidden in the car, birdsong, dogs, and unbelievably the sea. Smell of wood smoke richens up the air, the scent of flowers, incense in the roadside shrines, and passing massage parlors, a hint of oils sneak through the rushing air. But everything has a price to pay. Despite the tiny footprint of the bike, a U-turn seems to take such space. and off I come. Asphalt snatches at my skin, curb attacks my shoulder blade, my new red shorts comfy, a subtle burgundy, ripped and stained with claret blood bright against my legs. And such is life. No broken bones, but a twisted ego and a bike.
Thank you, Charlie. It's lovely to hear your poetry again. I love the flow of it. Your voice always comes over really strong and lyrical. I love it. Thank you very much. And I do hope everything's going well for you in France.
It's just very cold. Yeah.
Well, it is here too, so you're not missing anything. Thank you. Another big round of applause for Charlie Mark or Alexandra.
Yes.
Okay. Louise Damont, is she here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. I was just wondering if I could wait because I'm waiting for my sister from the US to log on as well. So do you mind if I wait?
Wait, yeah, I can make you wait for a little while. You've got about three poets worth, so hopefully she'll be here by then. Okay.
I hope so as well. Thank you.
Okay. Ivor Daniel, I think you're sort of, there we go. Yes. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. And
Would
thanks
you like to read your poem?
Thanks,
Poems,
Josephine and Pete, for steering the good ship for 3 years. You've done a really good job. This first one is called Bonfire 2021. It was written on Bonfire Night 13 months ago, I guess. Firework images, smell of gunpowder, damp leaves, ripe Westminster sleaze. A guy in my dad's old suit frowned sadly. Neither suffered fools gladly. And I think it's a 4 minute. So this one is called Another Moon Haiku. You pearlescent fruit gum overhead, you, the last one in the packet.
Love it. I've been really enjoying your haikus and things in the GPS over the months anyway, so that's brilliant. Thank you.
He's got another one.
Oh, you've got another one. I do beg your
one
pardon.
more.
I thought you said two. Sorry.
Okay. This is called The Day Ahead of Me. Discombobulated, out of sorts, incomprehensible quicksand thoughts. The day ahead of me trips up that very moment when I see news headline sign in front of me. Lennon shot. Thank you.
Wow. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Ivor Daniels. Please unmute and give Ivor Daniel a really big round of applause. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Kate Jenkinson. Kate, are you there?
I am. I'm in my kitchen. It probably sounds very echoey in here. Yes, thank you for a wonderful event. I really didn't know I'd get the pleasure of sharing something with you tonight. So let me just get that up. I was ready and then I wasn't. My laptop today. There it is. So I'm on a writing workshop at the moment, and the prompt for this was a ritual. So something that is a family ritual, and I'm not sure my family's got many rituals, so it took me a long time to work out the thing that we really liked. And we really like words. So this is called Hallmark of Poverty. Cards. Cards were important. We opened them first. We read every nuance in each line of verse. It was there where rhyming and sentiment flowered, where love was conveyed in words, and their power has never left me or let me down. though I wonder at people and how they misuse them when all else is gone. Their words are the things that will ring in their ears, the hurt that they carried and fueled every breath. You don't want this remembered after your death. Finding words that dispel hurt and cause no harm, expel all hostility and focus on calm. This oasis created inside every card gave a moment of silence, a pure sense of reverence, a pause of deep gratitude which I remember forever. When material goods are out of your reach, you appreciate things you know you can rely on, choosing your emotions to be kind in the present. Your words are the gifts that make such a difference. When it seems we had nothing, we'd stop, introspect, reading the words in the cards we'd collect. For occasions we celebrated, the love was right there, connecting us all with the words that we shared. Thank you.
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. That was really interesting. Nothing else. Those sentences. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Give Kate Jenkinson a really big round of applause. Okay, how are we doing, Louise?
Yeah, I can't see that she's logged on, but I'll be happy to do my poem now.
Yeah, I think because we're really coming very close to the end.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, so my name is Louise Diamant, and I'm a Danish poet and writer. I published 3 poetry collections and one in English called Word Warrior Woman. But this is my first poem in the Trawler. And I often write poems based on photos. So this is the photo I used. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So the poem I wrote is called The Traveller. And it's about leaving things behind and saying goodbye to an old version of yourself. So here comes The Traveller. I have packed my frustration and my anger and left both behind me, while I ride in the back of giants on roads less traveled, listening to my heartbeat and the wind in naked branches. My companion walks with heavy force and checks to see if the luggage I so eagerly demand to carry is safely stored 1,000 miles behind us. I let my head drop and cry tears of frustration and anger into his. Not all emotions are meant to be packed and left behind. Some are carried on the back of giants on roads less traveled. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Louise. Thank you very much. Please give a big round of applause for Louise W. Damon. That was brilliant. I hope your sister was there. I hope she heard that. But if she didn't, the whole of this is recorded and will be put out on YouTube in a few days' time, so she can share it then. Okay, thank you. Right, Jason. Welcome.
Okay,
Your poem.
Well, before I get started, I want to make sure that Josephine and Peter are congratulated for their service, the hard work and passion that they've put in to grow the society to what it is today. Peter working in the background, doing loads of great things with organising. So I'd like to unmute and have a really big round of applause to thank them both, please.
That's lovely. It sounds a bit like we've turned into a turkey yard.
Right,
but very much appreciated.
I will get into my parents. Right, okay, I've got two haiku strings. The first one, anyone who has a dog will probably get what this is about. It's called Cerberus Smited. Cubs howl, shell-shocked. Their masters worship skyfire. Ares smites Cerberus. Ritual sermon. Zeus's bolts synthesized joyously. War dogs terrorized. Blind obedience by guarded growling gentry punished for pleasure. All hail the 5th. November brings night chaos. It's not in our nature. Children gaze starstruck. Tradition, a forced religion as the wild cowers. And my last one is called A Celtic Dream, and it's based on Ceridwen, who is regarded by many modern pagans as the Celtic goddess of rebirth. And medieval Welsh poetry refers to her as possessing a cauldron of poetic inspiration, and her son is the poet Taliesin. Ceridwen shapeshifts. Her matriarchal wisdom lessons in moonlight. Taliesin floats. Leather-wrapped grain sent to sea. Whispers over sand. 9 moons spurn legend. Great poetry for valleys. Echoes through the vale. The silver crone hangs. Watches over fertile ground. We stargaze. Spellbound. Thank you.
Whoa.
That was lovely, brilliant. Thank you so much, Jason. Sorry, I was trying to type in the last line when you finished, and then yeah, that always keeps happening. But from now on, I'll be able to just listen to the poem and type it in, and that'd be good. That'd be good. So a big round of applause, please, for Jason Conway. Now, in a moment, we're going to have Clive Oseman again, because Clive's become a tradition of Crafty Crows. Whether this continues or not, I don't know. But it was a tradition that started in Squawkers when we had our live events in Squawkers in Cheltenham over the, think of me, parrot. What was it called? Something
Sober parrot.
Sober parrot, yes. So in a minute we're going to hear from Clive, but before we do, I just want to add a few things that Jason said. Firstly, thank you everybody for all your thanks to us and Peter, but I want to talk about Jason's input over the last few years. He's created our online profile, the website, Facebook pages, etc. He's designed banners, leaflets, and the cover design for the Trawler series, and so much more. So I'd like to give a big round of applause for Jason. And I wish him all the luck in the future with GPS. And I also, again, want to go and say more for Peter. Because Peter is really someone who's been in the background quite a lot, but seriously has moved the GPS on. He is an event organizer, and he's got everything set up for that and for admin, but his are sort of really fundamental ideas too. The Trawler was totally his vision, and he did most of the trawling for the first year or two. And his work on running the GPS Open Poetry Competition has raised much needed funding for the Society. So please, a very big round of applause for Peter Lay. And now we'll go to Clive, who I also will miss introducing because, as I say, he's been quite the I'm losing my words, aren't I? It's the vodka I put in the Coke. I shouldn't have done it.
Tequila.
No, not tequila. Anyway, Clive Oseman, please.
Hello again. Okay, so first of all, obviously, massive thanks to Josephine and Peter, and of course, Jason, for everything you've done. And yeah, I don't think I've ever done this at Crafty Crows. By the time I've finished, you'll probably wish it had stayed that way. But yeah, it's a bit different because I do like to be a bit different, as you know. And this is actually a slightly reworked attempt to combine the literary genius of Shakespeare with the comic genius of Robert Garnham on acid. It fails on both counts, of course, but fuck it, I've got nothing else. And I actually introduced the original version of this as a rabbit pretending to be a duck, but I've scrapped that bit for fear of spreading myxomatosis. So, and this is called proper poetry because that's what it is. This is proper poetry. Listen, I don't know what you're expecting tonight, but you know my head is not quite right and I'm going to write a load of shite. But if you tell me that, get ready to fight because I'm a vicious bastard when I lose it. They suggested anger management, but I refused it. Anyway, that's full of rhyme and that, and we all know rhyme is a bit old hat and even the cat. And modern audiences like something more sophisticated with the meaning disguised and pixelated and straightforward expression asphyxiated. Oh, bollocks. I can't help myself, can I? I really do try. I'll do this again. As Brittany said way back when. Stop it, you moron. Stop it. Stop rhyming and write something obscure. You can do it for sure. Oh, for fuck's sake. There must be a cure. A slap in the face? Yeah, that might do it. The moon rotates like my hippo in the washing machine on a 30-degree cycle. I hope he doesn't shrink. I've only got the one. Pink carnations spring down his nostrils like shafts of light in a dark, dank basement. The alluring aroma of coffee drifts into the far corners of the universe, reviving the stars as they begin to droop like a drunkard's todger. Look, you're all misunderstanding this. It may be superficially absurd, but listen carefully to the words. Doing this again, no. The meaning is deeper than a Marks and Spencer's luxury mince pie with the bottom cut out, like the tongues of mine enemies. It's there if you look for it, like God or bedbugs. I bet you wish I'd stuck to rhyme now. I knew you would somehow, even though it's pretty lame and lowbrow. Ciao. Thank you very much.
I do love you. Thank you so much. Do you know what? I am absolutely sure that if you sat down, you could write a really beautiful page poem. And one day you should do it just to shock everybody. Thank you, Clive. Unmute and give a brilliant round of applause for Clive. And that's it, folks. So this is me signing off, and it's been a brilliant 3 years. And thank you to all the poets that have come to Crafty Crows, both as features, as open mics, and as audience. It's been a wonderful experience. Please go on, keep going on, keep coming back for Jason and whoever he chooses to help him. We will drop in from time to time and stay quiet. Thank you and good night.